It is said in the earliest of days, when man was barely learning to walk, it was the Asur, the High Elves, that conquered the seas. The most skilled navigators, the High Elves, carefully mapped the stars, and they relied on these stars for salvation, for a way home. And so it was that a family, a descendant from Calidor himself, followed a star. The star was a shattered star. The star was the promise of home. And then it wasn't. It was a black star that took these children of the Asur to a new land. And they became henceforth the children of the Ebon Star. This is their story. Following the promise of the black star, the children of the Asur formed their new land and their capital city of Tor Ebon Star. Two princes sit at the head of House Ebon Star. Derail, the elder, High Prince of the Ebon Star, and his brother, Belial, the Blade of the Ebon Star. Claiming descendants from Calidor himself, the brothers run hot-blooded with the blood of Calidor, arrogant and impetuous, yet beset on all sides by enemies. House Ebon Star fights a desperate fight for survival. Was the promise of the Ebon Star that of fortune? Or were they promised nothing but doom and death? That's what we're here to find out. Welcome to the Tiny Town campaign. That is the fluff intro for the High Elf army that I play. It's been fluff that's been sort of rolling around in my head for the better part of around 30 years or so, back when I started to build an army for Warhammer Fantasy, like all the way back to the mid-90s. And this fluff had been in my head for so long that it had manifested in several different ways. Those are characters that I play in Warhammer Online. For those of you who were in my guild and remember, those were the two brothers, the Swordmaster characters that a lot of you followed around. And even today with my Warhammer the Old World army, that is the army I built, the army of the Ebon Star. So very excited to see it on the board, not just in Warhammer the Old World, but also in this project, this beautiful campaign that my friend Jake has put together, which we call Project Tiny Town. And for us, this is really an incredible endeavor. As you can tell, the fluff for my army had been rolling around in my head for some time. And I know for a fact that this campaign has been a dream of Jake's for many years. And we're finally just so grateful to have this whole thing converging, right? Something that had been in his mind, in his head for a long time. And as it turns out, it just awoke something in mine. So we are just really overjoyed to have this campaign in front of us. Jake has spent hours, and I mean PhD dissertation levels of study and commitment and focus putting all of this together. He had almost every single detail fully developed. He has a map, he has terrain, and he brought us together for this campaign while we, the players, have helped advise him on certain rules, really make some changes that we felt would enhance the narrative and the gameplay of this simultaneously. And we're at the very beginning of this, and so we're hoping this goes well. And if I'm being honest with you, everything that we have done thus far has really, really been fun and exciting. as far as the physical manifestation of this has started about a year ago when we were getting into 3D printing, and Jake had found these 10 millimeter fantasy armies, and I told him how much I loved Warhammer Fantasy and really wanted to play it, but at the same time, not, fantasy being a dead game, barely coming out with the old world. The prospect on that side didn't seem very good. And we wanted to play something a little simpler that would allow us to play these armies, to really get into the character of it, but also resolve our battles in a clean and meaningful manner. And that's where Age of Fantasy Regiments came into play. I think from the last video on Tiny Town, you saw that we ran some test games, which were a crazy amount of fun. And so that gave Jake the confidence to complete his campaign rules, while really I just continued to play around with the idea of the fluff and what it would be, at least for my faction. So we began the campaign earlier this week, and Jake got us all together on a call, all the players, and he taught us how to program our turns. We went through the in and outs of the upkeep each turn, economy, movement, your actions with your various army banners. And so we kind of fumbled around with it, and I ended up just kind of moving around the map like an idiot with both of my banners, because I did what I felt my princes would do, each one of them. And they do have different personalities, but they both share that sort of, that, like I said, that Calidor level impetuousness. And so I did what they would do. And I ended up, in the first couple of turns, ending up in two pretty significant battles. And at the time, I was like, oh gosh, well, I'm going to get taken out of this campaign very early. I got into 2 car accidents pulling out of my driveway, basically. And we played the games earlier today. And the first game was pretty insane. I was outcosted. Jake had put extra points into that list. He was intent on taking that mine for himself, and I went in just raw with my regular, like, standard 1,500 point list. But I did have Prince Durail at the head of that, and he did what he did. That was quite a game. It was really the battles were really intense, but once the dragon fight was resolved, it started to look bad for Jake's stuff. And Prince Durail just went through and just started tearing units up and off the board. And the game ended with a lone spearman champion grabbing the final loot counter to win the game for the High Elves. So now that character is going to become a character in the fluff. We're going to promote him. And we're going to figure out what the rules are for promoting that character. So that takes us into game 2. Who was the other brother, Belial, attacking a town against the Chaos Dwarves with our other friend, who is part of the campaign. Another really interesting game. Now, our other friend, this was really his first game of Age of Fantasy Regiments. And so he's walking into this real fresh, and he took a variety of different units as opposed to sort of optimizing units. And we learned a lot about Chaos Dwarves in that game. They have some very powerful spells. They have powerful artillery, but they also are very, very slow. So the High Elves were able to outmaneuver Kevin in that army, in that particular game, and was able to take that one as well with a clutch save at the end from the mage that it rides on the Great Eagle. Another really fun, really interesting game, and I'm really shocked because now I'm walking away from the first two battles of the game, having beat both Chaos and the Chaos Dwarves. So a very improbable but highly profitable first couple of turns for my High Elf army. We ended up securing a mine and a town, which means more revenue, and the amount of tiles I control also allows me to raise a third banner or a third army going into turn 3 of the campaign. So really exciting stuff. Plus, we're adding another one of our friends to the campaign. Jake was able to figure out a way to integrate a fifth player by some creative tweaks of the map. So we've got a fifth player coming as well. And so suddenly this campaign has become incredibly interesting. So with that, let's go ahead and have a look at the campaign map here, again designed by our buddy Jake. If you look at the top sort of center, maybe towards the right a little bit, that blue area there highlighted, that is my territory. That's the High Elf territory. And you can see the like bright and colorful little pieces are the banners. Those represent the armies moving around. And then you have some other things on the map. You see treasure chests. Those are mines or resources. You've got a shrine there, a couple of shrines, which are also important for achievements. And then you also have like ports. Those are the anchors. And you'll have cities as well. Right, so zooming in on my territory, you can see I currently own 8 tiles. I have a port, a capital city, a shrine, a city, and a mine. And in the turn 2 was really where I won those two decisive battles to win the mine that is on the left edge of my territory. You can see the Chaos Army lined up directly against me there. And then if you look at the bottom left, that is the city that I was able to take from the Chaos Dwarves. So, and then one final thing, that if you look at the green and red, that banner on my capital, that is the third banner or the third army I'm adding. So zooming in here, where I'm holding the mine with my dragon banner across from the Chaos Army, who has retreated back to what is essentially a port. And you can see the river flowing down below that. That is a super important port, and it is mission critical. It's absolutely vital to Jake to hold that port, because that will eventually give him access to the southern part of the map. So super important there. The question here will be, will Jake risk leaving that port so that I might take it? Will I risk leaving the mine so that he could sneak by and take the mine? Or will we just continue to smash into each other again and fight it out another round? Don't know what's going to happen up there. There's some important things that can happen on either side, but yeah, Jake is really concerned about potentially losing that port up against me. So if we look at the south part of the map, or the south part of my territory to be more specific, you can see my other banner is holding that city there with the Chaos Dwarves retreating to the hex that's down and to the left slightly. So another interesting situation here, the Chaos Dwarf player is on top of a mine that I'm sure they definitely don't want to give up. But also their port is also just a couple of squares away there too. So some really interesting things could develop on that front. And then if we zoom out a little bit, looking at the southwest portion of the map, that green area there is held by the Lizard Men, who had a very peaceful couple of turns. They fortified that topmost tile of theirs over on E1. And then you can see that there's a city and a shrine that they are going to be looking at access to up against Chaos on that front. And then on their western front, it looks like that they are adjacent to a mine that they're likely just going to take. So it they may be in another turn without war unless they end up going to war against chaos. So yeah, that is the first couple of turns of our campaign. I backed up and have a look at the map as a whole. It's already been pretty exciting so far. Let me know any thoughts you might have about what you think my next moves might be. But yeah, really enjoying this. Thanks again, everybody, for watching, and we'll update you on the next one.